Obviously, Irma has been such a big talking point over the last few days. You know, walking around Monte Carlo and having your meetings, you know, what are you hearing and what are your thoughts on things moving forward?
Well, we're very focused on understanding what's actually happening on the ground in this storm. And Irma is going to be significant, but it's certainly not going to be as bad as we feared. Since it ended up making a landfall as a Category 3 storm near Naples, Marco Island, and Fort Myers. Those are populated areas, but it could have been much worse.
So what are some of the particulars of Irma that we should all be watching out for?
Well, while it made landfall as only a Category 3, there are some remarkable features of the storm. In particular, it was a very large storm and put hurricane force wind across much of the Florida peninsula, affecting a very large amount of people and property. Another thing to watch for is the storm surge on both coasts and potentially significant levels of inland flooding in areas around Jacksonville. So even though this wasn't the devastating storm that we had feared, there is going to be widespread impact across the state, probably large numbers of claims, and it'll be important to keep an eye on how this develops in the coming weeks. At RMS, we're going to be taking a really detailed look now at the storm over the next 2 weeks before coming up with our ground-up estimate of industry losses.
I think that when people talk about Irma, people get very fixated and focused on Florida and, you know, the fact that this is the first hurricane in over a decade to make US landfall in the way that it has. But obviously it's devastating effect on the Caribbean. I wonder if you can kind of go into a bit more of that.
Yeah, when Hurricane Irma was a Category 5 headed for Florida, naturally the mind fixes on Florida, and it's easy to skip over what's between, you know, the Atlantic Ocean and Florida. There's been terrible devastation in several Caribbean islands, and the insured losses are going to be material out of the Caribbean. It could certainly be several $billion of insured loss. I mean, some of these islands have been absolutely devastated, and I think it's been a delay in part because of the complete disruption to communications, but now we're beginning to see the extent of the damage. From a modeling standpoint, we show very high loss ratios across some of those territories, and many of those are going to translate into meaningful insured losses in certain markets.